Hey guys, it's JD Seraphine from Rainmaker. We're blending AI and blockchain to empower creators and transform the digital landscape. You're listening to The Edge of NFT, the show that blends education, entertainment, and technology, making waves in Web3. Let's dive in.
Hey, Web3 curious listeners, stay tuned for today's episode to learn how Moondrop NFTs are bridging digital and physical worlds while also a symbolic representation of the Rainmaker vision. Plus, Rainmaker's strategy behind choosing Base as their Layer 2 solution. Finally, the evolving role of citizens in the Rainmaker ecosystem to make the world better and more interesting. All this and more on the Edge of Rainmaker. Cue the intro.
Welcome to The Edge of NFT, the podcast that brings you the top 1% of Web3 today and what will stand the test of time. We explore the nuts and bolts of the business side and also the human element of how Web3 is changing the way we interact with the things we love. This podcast is for the dreamers, disruptors, and doers who are pumped about this ecosystem and driving where it goes next.
Hi, everyone. Welcome again to Edge of NFT, the podcast created by Jeff Kelly, Ethan Janney, and myself, Josh Krieger, featuring a variety of top-notch guests and other hosts. It's another production of the Edge of Company, a quickly growing media ecosystem empowering the pioneers of Web3 tech and culture and responsible for other groundbreaking endeavors like the Outer Edge Innovation Festival in LA and Riyadh. Today's sponsored episode features JD Seraphine, co-founder of Rainmaker, and a visionary leader in AI and blockchain who is transforming the social creator economy by leveraging his diverse background in tech, entertainment, and philanthropy, including producing Hersher and the Rock of Ages and directing the documentary series Open Source Money. Rainmaker is a revolutionary social creator platform that harnesses generative AI and Web3 tech with its proprietary proof of influence algorithm to equitably reward creators with cryptocurrency for content sharing, while donating 4% of profits to charity and redefining the monetization of user contributions to AI infrastructure through its AI super app and network protocol. It's great to have you on the show again, JD.
Yes, last time we were together, Josh, was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. What an amazing event you guys put on there. It was one of a kind experience.
Obviously, there's a lot that's been happening in the space since we got together in Riyadh. You've been building a lot. I got super excited about what you're doing, and we've become a partner, advisor, investor in the project, and would love to sort of get the 411 on what you've been up to lately.
You know, it's been crazy, man. As everybody, we've been navigating the waters of an interesting time in our country, you know, being in the US and our world. Simultaneously, we feel extremely excited about the innovations that we've put together on the AI side that we're driving towards. So, a big focus of our company has really shifted and centered around this notion of AI reputation and focused on what is the reputation of an individual human and their relationship with AI and training AI. So, like, there's some really exciting, innovative stuff that we've been building in terms of our tech over the last, 3, 4 months. We've had some huge breakthroughs, and now we're moving, towards Q4 and our upcoming TGE and some other big launches. So we've just been nose down, grinding, building. It's been an exciting time, though. I mean, as a founder, this is like what you like. People don't see you when you're in the valleys. I think you and I have talked about this before, when it's just like dark and you're about to die on the road. Nobody sees that. But when you're in these moments where you're climbing and you've got traction, you got velocity, it's a beautiful feeling. So yeah, it's been a good last few months.
That's great, man. Yeah, this is it's not a decision that you just make to be an entrepreneur in Web3. It's a calling, and once it's in you, you just have to do it, right? And it doesn't matter what it takes to get there.
Yeah, and I think part of what always attracted me to the space, or that I felt aligned with when I first came in back in 2017, was I feel like a lot of the people like you, like me, and many others, not everyone, but a lot of us have a passion for making an impact in the world. And I think using technology as this empowering force, when you look at the combination of AI and Web3 together, the potential of what that can power for humanity to me is limitless. I feel like that is that force that's going to drive that evolutionary leap. And so all of our focus as a company is, how can we play some role, in helping to drive that forward.
That's very cool, man. So I've always wanted to ask you, there's two I's in Rainmaker and two I's in Colin. Maybe you can kind of speak to what this wasn't a typographical error. What's behind, that decision and the philosophy there?
Yeah, so when we started the company in 2018, it was actually just coin with two eyes, right? So in coin, this idea, like I sat with my branding guy. He rebranded ABC. He's literally worked with some of the biggest brands in the world, Emmy award winning, just a genius. And we sat in the office I'm in right now for 2 weeks, and we just locked ourselves in, and we were trying to figure out like what is the essence of like the brand that we wanted to create and bring to the world. And we thought about value because, like, again, when you look at blockchain and Web3, what is it really like when you just get away from all the noise and DeFi and this and all these different verticals, which are all valuable? Like, what is it really when you strip it away? And it's transforming how value is created and how it's distributed. And so, the unit of value, and we started to think about the human and human to human and that relationship that we have with each other, and that really being the thing of most value in the world. So my relationship with you and your relationship with your company and everything, those relationships in the digital world, that's what actually is the most valuable thing in the world today. Now, obviously, Web 2, tech giants have like figured this out and have given us a bunch of free products to use, and they use our data to like leverage really the value of those relationships and those interactions it forms the foundation for, multi-billion dollar companies in the tech world today. And so we thought about, how could a more democratic, decentralized vision for how that value is not just being created, but also then distributed in a more equitable manner. And so coin really became the essence of that idea, because if you think back in ancient times, one of the earliest forms of like how we transacted with value was just a coin. And so when we reduced it down, it was like that was it. And then the double I is meant to again represent symbolically the power of that like peer-to-peer connection, which is like central to blockchain technology. So flash forward, we were building out the app. It was like, well, coin is the token, it's that unit of value, but it didn't feel like the right name for like the product, or even the company. And so Rainmaker was born. And again, as we were looking at it, how do we, go that unique thing? It's like, well, let's just stick with that double I being central, to our brand identity, that idea that we're putting the individual human in our relationships, in terms of our values at the forefront, in terms of the North Star of where we're driving as a company. And again, coming full circle to kind of what I said in the beginning, it's really about increasing human agency through AI and Web3. By empowering the individual human, I believe that's how we create a new world. And so as a company, that's our focus.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with me. I've been curious about that for quite some time, and yeah, I think that's the key with technology. You hit it on the head, which is like enabling human agency and not sort of making it something that decreases human connection, right? I remember a deep conversation I had with Eric Poulet about that on our other show, Edge of AI, and talking about AI ethics. So I appreciate that nuance that you brought to the surface there. And it sort of leads me to sort of some curiosity around what your perspective is on all these bots and sort of the proliferation of bad data in this space, right? Bots are eating advertising revenue from ad tech companies, and bots are sort of interfering with knowing sort of who your audience is and sort of polluting Twitter Spaces. They're everywhere. And
Yeah.
with AI, there's certainly no exception there. And there's all this data out there, and the quality level is has a vast spectrum. Most of it is not top quality. I really like Perplexity AI because they cite sources, but a lot of this, data that's out there, you don't know where it's coming from. So with that sort of top of mind, how do you guys think about reputation, and how do we solve this problem?
Yeah, it's interesting because the value, especially as it relates to AI, the value of the models is directly correlated with the quality of the data that they're being trained with. And the more that you have bots that are generating data, or possibly like, essentially polluting the stream of data that's going in to train these AI models, now you get into this problem where the quality of the model is at risk, right? And then the quality of whatever the outputs that are being generated by the model are at risk. So something we've been focused on both at the protocol layer as well as at the application layer at Rainmaker, is how do we look at this notion of AI reputation and the individual human taking their identity slash reputation, their behavior slash data, and plugging that in at the protocol level to be able to really understand the quantifiable value of each human that's contributing to train AI on the network, or each node that's contributing to provide distributed compute on the network. And so that's really been 100% of the core focus of where we're going with the product
So,
in terms of, yeah.
so just to clear my question there, if you're an expert in MMA fighting, is that sort of reference the quality level of your ability to look at data on what's going on in the world of MMA fighting?
That definitely is a component, but I think at the core layer, we have to know that you're a human and you're not a bot. And, are you in the US? Are you over a certain age? Are you a male? Are you female? You can get down into layers of quantifying the value in a specific niche, right? When it comes to, say, like data labeling, providing, reinforced human learning feedback to fine tune and help train models, which is on the application layer. A lot of what we've been doing on the application with Rainmaker app for quite some time, beginning to quantify, like, if Josh is consistently labeling things incorrectly, his AI reputation is not going to be high, versus if, Richard is just, knocking it out of the park and he's 100% correct,
And
his
and are you
reputation is going to be higher.
And are you doing this in sort of a way that sort of protects privacy in a way that other companies are not? For example, you could look at my LinkedIn profile and have a sense of most of that information, but you also then I'm being doxxed fully, and sort of maybe I want a level of privacy. So how are you balancing the privacy side of things with getting this type of data?
Yeah, so the nature of our protocol's architecture, it has both permissionless and permissioned layers. So the permissionless layers is where, actions are being signed on chain, by individual users or nodes in the background, which doesn't require technical expertise. The permission layer is where all that proprietary or data that requires, like, privacy compliance and other things sits in that permissioned layer of the network, where it can't be viewed by anybody and it's encrypted. So definitely leveraging, like, the combination of the ability to have transparency where transparency makes sense in terms of proof of actions versus the data itself, which needs to be obviously encrypted and held in necessary and permissioned layers of the network. So that's, I think, how we address it. And honestly, there is a broader problem when it looks at training AI models and the contributions coming from multiple folks across the planet, encrypting that data, de-encrypting that data. It's something the engineers are working to solve on other layers. When you start to get to the edge of the network, it becomes and I didn't mean to do that little
Uh,
pun, to the edge of the network. Once you do get to the edge of the network, though, I think that's where, I think there's the most exciting opportunities, but also some of the greatest challenges when it comes to privacy specifically. So I know that's stuff that our team is working on solving right now.
Cool. Well, you guys are working on a lot, and you recently had a really cool NFT collection drop called Rainmaker Awakens on Magic Eden. And I know this was a big milestone in terms of your integration of AI and blockchain, and sort of reflects sort of your effort to enhance the user experience and offer rewards, sort of that encapsulates Rainmaker's vision. So tell us a little bit more about this collection and how it fits into your broader vision. I know these things were called moondrops. I'd like to learn more.
Yeah, so we did like a Genesis NFT mint on Magic Eden, and the holders of that NFT, or those who have minted it and have staked it in their wallet connected to their Rainmaker network validator account, are basically earning a little boost on their mining rewards. And so everything we do, again, is the same ingredients I kind of mentioned: identity slash reputation, behavior slash data. Even in terms of the mining algo, that's determining two main things every 29 days: how many new tokens should be minted into circulation based on network activity, AI models trained, like all of that. Like, actually, what is the real value that is increased inside of the Rainmaker network. And then looking at all of those contributors, those who have provided compute, who have signed blocks, who have provided various types of value, even on the application or at the network level, then those mining rewards are distributed fractionally to those folks across the network. And that's what we've termed like moondrop, because it's happening actually in sequence with the full moon. So like being a little bit of a hippie and also kind of like mapping it to like the lunar cycles of the planet, we thought it'd be a cool way to like look at our mining periods and the way that the network is growing and measuring network activity and value and determining, okay, how many new tokens should be released. So we're even looking at things like, how many coin tokens are staked versus how many are burned, how many are withdrawn out of the network, meaning they went to an exchange or they went somewhere else. So those things we can look at supply and demand and looking to maintain an equilibrium, in the market. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the bigger picture of Moondrop and how we look at the mining reward system. The NFT in particular was a fun way to really just allow our early adopters to come in, and get something that gives them a little more than everyone else in kind of that mining game out of the gate. And I forget the exact number, but I think we landed at like 300,000 plus NFT mints, which on the Base network is one of the most successful mints that's happened on Base to date, which is exciting, to be breaking records as we do, Josh.
Yeah, man, you just like throw that out there subtly. That's pretty incredible. What I know you guys sort of chose to integrate with Base as well. What was sort of the impetus of that?
Well, I mean, Coinbase, as an entity and kind of an ecosystem, it's been growing significantly this year. You look at all the on-chain data in terms of like liquidity that's flowing to Base, from Solana and other networks. And Solana is still doing, good things. Obviously, people knock it because of the technical issues it sometimes encounters. But being a founder, you have a different understanding of like the challenges it takes to build technology, launch it, and scale it. And not to say that I condone or agree with or don't agree with. I'm not going to opine on it. But what I will say is that we chose Base specifically because we feel that what they're building in that ecosystem is special, and we know that the value of being connected to Coinbase Smart Wallet and some of the products they're developing, so that users can easily flow in and out of Rainmaker network and our ecosystem and into the Base ecosystem, and be able to have that two-way flow of value between our networks and ecosystems. We feel like obviously was the right choice. So the token itself, coin, there's two versions of it. One that lives on our network, which is if people are mining rewards now, that's the only version they have, because we haven't begun distributing the Base version of the token. That token contract is already deployed, but won't actually be unlocked, and tokens won't be distributed until TGE, of course, which we're racing towards at this very moment. But the choice of Base was like, when you look at, okay, we need to have a place where the token can be transacted with outside of our own network. And you look at the options, and to me, it was like Base it checked all of the boxes in terms of scalability, in terms of cost, in terms of the maturity of the ecosystem long term, where we feel like the place that we want to be. And then at the protocol level, again, we have a federated hybrid blockchain architecture. So as humans are training AI models on Rainmaker network and labeling data and doing all the stuff they're doing, all of that is on chain, a super scalable, super modular way on our network. The finalization of consensus of that data happens when there's a notarization on a public chain. And we're doing that on Bitcoin, we're doing that on Ethereum, and we're doing that on Base. And so obviously, again, Base being, a little cheaper, a little more scalable. I don't want to say a lot. It is a lot cheaper and a lot more scalable. I would say scalable, but it's better suited for that use case than say a Bitcoin. But Bitcoin, obviously, when we're hashing to it, you inherit the security of that network, which is profound.
It makes sense. Those being your sort of three for now. Are you also looking at expanding? Other folks doing a lot in AI. Obviously, Solana, Aptos. There's a number of other chains that sort of intersect with AI. Do you need to sort of integrate other chains in the future, or do these three sort of provide the stable stool you're looking for?
Well, on the wallet, like on the digital asset level, we're integrated with more than those three. We're actually also hashing proof on the finalization of consensus to BNB also. But the Solana is integrated at the wallet level. So right now, that one of the things the network is looking at is what are the different tokens that you're holding, and when you claim and connect wallets non-custodially to your network validator profile on Rainmaker network on Coin.ai is the dashboard where that exists. Solana is one of the networks that you can connect to wallet from Solana. We're actually about to do a number of different partnerships with Solana Foundation and Saga DAO. We actually launched a new version of our app on the Solana mobile phone. So the existing, you can get in the Solana mobile store if somebody's actually got that device, but in the new versions that will come out in whenever their next version of the phone comes out, Rainmaker app will be actually preloaded on those Saga
Yeah.
mobile
You
phones.
guys are thinking of everything. Like you're really thinking across all the chains and how to make this like network as powerful as possible.
A quick word from our sponsors who's ready to navigate the cutting edge of tomorrow's legal landscape. Because at Zuber Lawler, they're not just attorneys, they're visionaries. With expertise in emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, and the metaverse, they're paving the way for you to seize the future. For mergers and acquisitions to IP, their selective team delivers strategic solutions tailored to the ever-changing world of technology. Join us at Zuber Lawler, where the future meets the law at zuberlawler.com. Back to the episode.
So let's turn the attention to the coin dashboard and some of the features that are there now. You've added this rain score, which is pretty cool, and you take a very user-centric approach, I know, to everything that you're doing. What's been the feedback from users as you're starting to deploy all this new tech? We talked about sort of, the journey, and now you're in this journey where like people can reach out and experience what you've been building for 3-4 years. What's the kind of anecdotes and feedback you're getting on your product base?
I mean, it's overwhelmingly been very positive in terms of the new dashboard. I think, again, the goal is we took a ton of user feedback and things that were not as clear as they needed to be and not as intuitive as they needed to be in terms of how to play the game, right? I love the old Nolan Bushnell quote about this idea of gamification, which is really central to crypto and blockchain and AI. Um, and that's, gamification and looking at, a game needs to be easy to play, but hard to master. And so you want the game, with your product, you want your product to be easy to use, but you don't want it to be so easy that people are just mastered it and it's boring. They have to continuously have, more incentive to kind of keep playing because in our case, it's hyper competitive. So people are burning tokens and they're competing with each other. One gripe that happened after our last moon drop is people are like, wait, I burned more than I did the month before the cycle before, but I got less tokens. And it's like, yeah, but a ton more people came in and now they're competing with you. So there's this idea of, again, like this game in terms of our network and, incentivizing those people that are going to bring the most value. They're going to stake the most coins. They're going to burn the most coin. Those are the folks that are going to win the game. So, we're still iterating on aspects of the dashboard, aspects of Coin.ai as a product. And we actually are getting ready to launch here shortly a new AI reputation score. In addition to the Rain AI score, which is kind of your broader network score, we're looking at multiple AI networks and looking at on-chain behavior so that when someone connects a wallet, we're giving them a little bit of a boost or a multiplier to their mining. So like, let's say they're on Aether or they're on Fetch or they're on Singularity or one of these bigger AI networks, we're giving them a little bit of credit as essentially saying, we can see that you're a good actor on chain on these other networks. We're going to give you a little credit in terms of what you were earning on Rainmaker network for your participation.
That's really cool. So I think, what I'm hearing from you is that you're looking at your quote citizens. I say that with the double I, are really global citizens and they have a passport and a visa to go anywhere they want, right? They can go over to Fetch and use those products and other products that come out, but they're always welcome back into the Rainmaker sort of ecosystem, right? So I guess with that in mind, what are sort of the advancements you're making for these global citizens long term? How do you see what you're doing coexists with what else is going on in the sort of traditional AI and the Web3 AI ecosystem. It sounds like you're taking a different approach to quote competition, because at the end of the day, like you're committed more to sort of supporting innovation in the overall field and sort of impacting people in a more meaningful way than just like what you guys are doing on the ground. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming back to where we started, the core vision and values that we've held central to the company and what we're doing is have not changed. My partner and I, we would talk about it in the early days, like going back to 2018, like we want to create a billion millionaires. That was the idea. What's interesting is that my thought of what that is has changed a little bit. Not that that people need to have $1 million to be financially empowered and liberated. They just need to have enough money that they can actually get off the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and be able to actually like discover, what is my divine purpose and align with that and bring that forward in the world. And I think when humans do that, we create a whole new world, a beautiful, much more different world. Everybody's all caught up in this dystopian version of AI, and that we're going to destroy ourselves and there's going to be no jobs, which by the way, most of us don't want to work menial jobs, where we're subservient to other humans. That's not the essence of humanity. We are all born equal on this planet. Some people may not believe that, especially those that think they're better than other people, but the reality is every single human, man, woman, and child, is born equal on this planet, regardless of race, religion. That's the truth of our essence in our birthright. So we operate from a place that we build technology to empower humans to find that divine purpose and spark and to bring it forth in the world. And so, our hope is that in some way, the products that we're building are the kind of products, that can empower humanity and empower that evolutionary leap for humanity.
Wow, man, that's really profound, and it reflects on a conversation I just had with my girlfriend this weekend. We were looking at retreats around California, and obviously one of the most famous places is Esalen Institute. It's been where a lot of sort of pioneers in thinking about consciousness have gathered and whatnot. But it's an expensive spot. Not everyone can go there and have this incredible experience. They try to make it as approachable as possible at different levels. But I think one of the things that I reflected on from that is that you have to get past a certain base level of getting your basic needs met on Maslow's hierarchy of needs to be able to think about these things and to elevate consciousness and to elevate your own consciousness, right? You have to not have to worry about, where am I going to sleep tonight? Am I going to get enough food that I'm not like thinking about how hungry I am, right? So if we can do that with technology, then the possibility of what can be created from there on is infinite for the world, right? So
Yeah.
really appreciate what you're saying there, and it's been a fun conversation. Before we wrap, let's just talk about that social impact side a little bit more. Obviously, there's a balance there in every company around sort of social impact and keeping the lights on and sort of growing the company. 4% is a pretty significant decision that you guys have made. How are you balancing social impact with sort of the needs of the company as it's still growing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a constant thing. I mean, luckily from the very beginning, we've been holding to that. So even when we launched Rainmaker, the first public launch we did was in the summer of 21. We did a charity event for 50 kids in the inner city in Denver in a football stadium, and they all had their names on the lockers, and they ran out of the tunnel with the cheerleaders. And we made a big donation to the Boys and Girls Club. We ended up contributing I think, about 150K in that first kind of wave of social impact stuff, and that was to youth empowerment, climate change, and entrepreneurship. We've got a few interesting partnerships that we'll be announcing soon. Actually, one we'll be announcing at the UN Biodiversity Conference in Colombia in late October. That's with a big, huge, environmental group that we're partnering with on that. So to me, it's core to my passion as a founder that we only have a finite amount of time as a species to turn the corner. Like I know that we're going to do it. The only way that it gets done is those of us that are awake and aware have to step up and rise to the moment. So for us, it's like it's not really an option. Like yeah, we have to make sure that we balance it in terms of, resources continuing to feed into the company to, feed the continual growth of the company and the operation of the company. But ultimately, like, we have to do everything we can in our power, including contributing, funds and direct support to those projects and those companies and those people that are out there on the front lines that are solving the biggest problems that humanity is facing. And so to us, it's like we don't really have a choice, because in a certain amount of time, we either turn the corner or this thing turns into Mad Max. I believe we're going to do it, so I operate from a place that everything I'm doing is to feed to that better outcome.
Yeah, man. Let's keep operating from a place of abundance and make good things happen in the world. It's been great to sort of catch up with you, unpack where you guys have come in the last 6 months. It's been a lot going on here. And we're excited to sort of continue these conversations. So where can folks go to go down the Rainmaker rabbit hole?
And now for a quick word from our sponsor before we dive into the next segment. Are you ready to take your sports predictions to the next level? Look no further than maincard.io, the fantasy management platform that's taking the blockchain world by storm. With MainCard, every card is a ticket to excitement. You can predict sport outcomes, trade cards in the marketplace, and challenge opponents in thrilling weekly duels. And don't wait. Head to maincard.io now and start earning rewards with your NFTs, because it pays to be early. And now back to today's episode.
Well, I mean, the website's always a good place to start, rainmaker.com. On X, I believe we're Rainmaker app across all of our socials. We're on Telegram, Discord. So yeah, I mean, check us out, jump in the community. You can download the app from iOS or Google Play to start to mess around with the app where users are trading AI models or running a DePIN mobile validator node. Or you can also deploy a validator node on coin.ai, which is the desktop version of our product. So that's
great.
it.
That's awesome, man. And just for our listeners at home, we have a big giveaway planned with Rainmaker in sort of celebration of the next full moon cycle and this show and all the stuff going on. So I know you guys do these things monthly. Maybe you can kind of explain to our listeners how they're going to get a chance to tap into the Rainmaker ecosystem and what rewards are in store for them.
Yeah, so like we mentioned earlier, every 29 days, there's a large distribution of tokens that happens to all the validators and stakeholders on the network. So I encourage everybody to go and download the app and create a coin.ai account and look for more information to come from the Edge of team in terms of a special giveaway that we're going to power, with them.
Thanks, as always, for being such a great partner. And yeah, guys, you're not going to want to miss out on this giveaway. So stay tuned. And with that, we have reached the utter limit at the edge of NFT for today. Thanks for exploring with us. We've got space for more adventures on the Starship. So invite your friends, recruit some cool strangers. They'll make this journey also much better. How? If you're listening, go to Spotify or iTunes right now. Rate us and say something awesome. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, join over 135,000 other followers by hitting the subscribe button, passing this episode on to a friend or two. You can also now catch us on myco.io. That's myco.io, where you can watch and earn for your time and attention. Lastly, be sure to tune in next time for more great Web3 content. Thanks again for sharing this time with us today.
The views and opinions expressed on Edge of NFT reflect solely those views and opinions of the show hosts and its guests. Please make sure to do your own research. Our show is not financial advice. You understand that you are using any and all information available on or through this podcast at your own risk. Whenever making financial decisions, we recommend doing your own research and talking to your accountant for financial advice. From time to time, we may feature sponsored content on the show for which we receive value, and we may share links for which we receive a commission if you make a purchase through one of those links. Refer to our website, www.edgeofnft.com, for our full disclaimer, terms and conditions, and privacy policy.